Hey, everybody. I'm Taylor Ferber.
And I'm Joe Francis, and this is Undressed.
Joe, why do I have a sneaking suspicion that men and women are going to feel very strongly and very, very differently about this topic today? Something is just telling me,
I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know. Well, what topic? Because you just said I have a surprise for you today,
I
Joe.
do.
It's my idea, and this was your idea,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And what are we talking about today, Taylor?
We are talking today about the perhaps oldest and most polarizing profession that
Mm,
is prostitution. So I did
wow.
have a surprise for you, and that surprise is a happy ending that is this entire episode. So I'm just telling you up front, you're welcome. So guys, we are going to
Thank
be
you.
talking about you're welcome. That's what good co-hosts do. That's what
Yeah.
we women are here for, in addition to this view of my boobs. Even though I told you, by the way, that I wasn't going to be showing them, but we change our minds. That's what women do, deal with it, and you're welcome.
And
So,
I mean, you look beautiful. I
thank
love
you.
pretty in pink.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
I would say
And
the same thing about your white tee that, it's brand new for you. It's something new and different that we've never seen before. Except it's the only visual I have of you in my head ever and all of
because
ours.
you
So
take up all the wardrobe budget for the show. It was like your Black Lives Matter shirt and then all the
no,
other
really.
pieces. And then, I get a white t-shirt, but that's okay.
Yeah, I get we don't want to go too crazy with a wardrobe, for you with all these Hanes, Fruit of the Loom
Maybe I
white
can get
tees.
something on it
So
once in a while. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe. I
we'll
don't
see.
know.
We'll see. Maybe if
Okay.
you get a pay grade, if you get a pay bump, we'll
Yeah.
see about that.
Cutbacks. I
So,
understand.
maybe actually you'll decide to, put yourself on OnlyFans and then you can support your own wardrobe department.
That's a
After this episode, we'll see.
that's a good business model. Let's do it.
I want some royalties for that. But we're going to be covering all of it today, guys. How men and women feel personally about this from yours truly, me and Joe, the legalization, and even Honora, which has really and recently brought this topic of sex workers into the cultural relevant dialogue and plot twists. Joe and I both watched it and neither of us liked it. So pass out of the bag.
Honestly, wait, Taylor, did you like Honora?
No.
No,
Joe.
I hated it. I hated it, and I wanted to like it because
wanted
it
to
was
love it.
about a sex worker, a hooker, and I hated it. It's stupid.
A sex worker, a hooker, Mr. They are sex workers. They are not prostitutes. All this, which is a debate in and of itself, by the
No,
way, because prostitute is the derogatory term these days, I guess, and sex workers is the PC term for it. So,
but
it's
I don't even think it's PC. I just think it's look in Europe and other cultures where it's widely accepted and widely legal and a totally different a totally different attitudes
vibe.
Yeah, they call it sex work, and it is work. It's sex work. They pay taxes. They're part of an economy. They get social security. So it's a job. Like, I mean, just ask any housewife. It's a job, right?
No, it's like, housewife, you're a local prostitute. Listen, I feel
I'm saying the sex is a job.
depends on the day.
Well, I
Depends
don't
on the
know.
day.
My parents were married for 55 years, so I couldn't imagine after
It did
55
not
years.
feel like work. You
It's
gotta be
sex work.
super creative.
Sorry, Mom.
It is sex work. I feel like, all right, ladies, tell me if you feel me on this. First of all, the whole sex worker thing, yes. And I know them, I've worked with them, and I will validate that. I will say, yes, I do feel like guys are full of BS when it comes to they are just solely sex workers now, because I hear guys locker room talk behind the scenes. Oh, hooker, prostitute, this, that, everything. So guys, you ain't fooling anyone, certainly not this blonde. And I feel like we as women, look, I'll just own this. Okay. We can throw it out as an insult, like, oh, some prostitute. But I also have no problem calling it a sex. It just feels a little PC, like how we have PC words for every, like the master bedroom. You can't even call it the master bedroom. It has to be non-gender, whatever. All this kind of crap. It kind of just it falls into that category for me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. So I disagree with you completely. I agree with you. Honora sucked, and like most people that I've spoken with agreed it sucked. That was no best picture, but well, that's a whole nother episode. maybe if it was worth even covering. But you're wrong about this because it's sex work. I mean, look, yes, look, every rap video, every movie, every ghetto person calls prostitution prostitution. And then that's more so in the United States where it's not widely accepted and not widely legal. But everywhere else in the world, these women and men are paying their taxes and they're doing a job. And for them, they have, they put their kid in school and or their kids and they make a living. And it's not fair to change their occupation title to a derogatory name because it's something that may not appeal to everyone, and that's okay. And that's now, what is your attitude towards
it? No, sir. Listen, I am not negating that it is actual work. I'm merely talking about the terminology and how
you have a boyfriend,
I'm merely talking about
it's work.
Listen, how he can't put a price on me. I will say that. Okay, in or out of the bedroom. And he knows it. But I'm merely saying I know that it's work. In fact, actually, a little fun fact is not only do I know who was formerly one of the biggest, most mainstream female porn stars, but actually one of the girls who was in my Playboy feature, who was also a Playboy writer, who's a sex worker, stripper in real life and has been for years, wrote a book, Modern Whore, that's being adapted into a feature film. She was actually one of the real life sex worker consultants on Honora. Still have to take up with her, why this movie was so bad and why I spent an hour and a half in a chase scene in every location in Manhattan that I did not need. But weird, right? I mostly mean the terminology, how it can be used for we women, how we feel like it, depending on the circumstance and that day. So again, if we want to use it as an insult, it'll be like that stripper, hooker, prostitute. But if it's in a respectful manner, like my friends here, it is then sex workers. And that's all I'm saying about that. And that's because we women, we can do what we want and what we feel like and when we feel like it, which
That's true. That's true. But on this show, we are not going to be derogatory towards anyone.
No, of course not.
We are going to call it what it is, and it's sex work. And that's what it is, and it's a job. And they get paid to do it. And it's a job. I mean, they look at it as a job. They approach it as a job. They're not forced into it. So, it's a choice. And that is what they choose to do for a living. And by the way, we'll talk about this later, but there's incredible, insatiable demand for their services and their product.
Did you know that this is estimated to go back to 2,400 BCE? That's how in demand. I guess it is the gift that keeps on giving, for men though, because
I bet it goes back to Adam and Eve in the garden, and she's like, "No, not today." And he's like, "What about for the watermelon?"
So it was like he paid her a hefty sum, and then she went down. But listen, I as a woman,
Jesus in the Bible married a prostitute, or a sex worker.
Listen, it's a conflicting. That in and of itself is a little bit of a contradiction, knowing what we know about what Jesus represents today. And I even as
what does Jesus represent, Taylor?
Well, not to me personally, but it's depending on who you ask.
Okay,
not to me.
I was just checking.
I went to temple one time in the last year. So, but also Jesus was my homeboy. He was a Jew. But I'm just saying to those who follow, morality and purity and all that stuff. And here he was with
Jesus.
I'm just saying,
he's my gardener.
You're like, actually, Jesus, you missed a spot right there on that bush. No. But I feel conflicted about it, Joe, as a woman. I'm not going to lie. I'm not some, prude puritanical, you would think. And I actually had some time, not on the stage, well, maybe for 5 minutes once, but at the strip club. But I also have a lot of judgments and conflicting ideas about it. And then in researching for this episode, I saw how there are these escorts who are literally making upwards of $100,000 a night or a weekend. I'm like, are these just the smartest women ever? And joke is on all of us Americans. So yes. I don't know why, I have a feeling that you feel a very good type of way about this
I
profession.
have a feeling this is going to be a really interesting program. And thank you once again, because you chose the topic, not me. Everybody would
I
think,
chose my
oh,
fate. I chose my
you
fate.
chose your fate. And we completely, I can already tell, disagree about a lot of things about this. And let's talk about it. What are your feelings
Let's talk about it. Let's
discuss, Taylor.
let's discuss. Okay, what do you I had a question for you, but
Go ahead.
okay. What I would be willing to bet my right hand that you have partaken in sex worker services.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
That was my ex, Abby Wilson.
What is that? Wow. He's like, this is no secret. He's like, actually, haven't. Actually, plot twist, Joe hasn't ever not dated. No, but he has to pay for companionship. Okay. What is the least?
I paid dearly for that too.
What is
you call it what you will, sex work, whatever, but I paid dearly for it. So
okay, what is the least and most amount that you would pay? Be honest. And is it something
You're
like that?
asking,
Not to objectify women in this way, but is it sort of like you get what you pay for? Like what would, because you have these millionaires and billionaires, like I said, paying like 50,000 a night versus like $100. And is that kind of, what would make you pay 50 when you could just pay 100? But I'm just
obviously living in Los Angeles.
The math.
Okay, living in Los Angeles, I know a lot of sex workers because most of the hot girls are doing it, and they may be doing it at the high end and not telling anybody about it, or they may be doing it in Vegas. Like a lot of the girls, like we used to call the Southwest Airlines flight from Burbank Airport to Las Vegas Airport on Friday and coming back on Sunday, the Crazy Horse.
Wow.
The Crazy Horse LA.
He knows the route.
Because the whole thing was girls who want to be actresses or trying to be actresses and trying to make it in Hollywood, go to the weekend, earn $100,000, enough for the entire month, and then they go back next month, and then they work in Vegas as prostitutes. So that's a very common one that I've seen, heard, and talked to many girls that do that. I know another sex worker because she was busted coming back from Dubai, and these guys in Dubai pay a few $100,000 for these girls. But remember, these are ugly guys. These are guys that couldn't get girls otherwise, right? So they have to pay that amount of money. Now, that's nothing for them. And this girl stupidly brought like 4 times like $250,000 in cash, not declaring it inside the US, landed at LAX, finally got detained. And they're like, why have you been to Dubai 4 times? What? Oh, can we look in your bag? Oh, you have $250,000 for a weekend to Dubai? Where'd it come from? And she couldn't explain, so she got arrested. So it's like, because she didn't declare it, right?
Yeah.
Which is a crime. So there's that level. And then there's, the really high level of, the trillion-dollar Saudi prince family who will pay girls, in upwards of $500,000, so there are those ranges. Now, what I've researched and read on here is the market rate in the world for sex is under $100. It's like about $70 is like the average. So I don't have a lot of personal experience with this, but I know a lot of women who do this, so or have in the past, because those are the people you meet out at these clubs and stuff, and some of them are very low key about it, and they'll only take like a high-end client, but a lot more women do it than you think. That's what you have to know.
I felt so young and naive before prepping for this episode. I'm like, this is a whole other world out there. But let's just get right to it and throw down, okay? Like, enough with the niceties and the pleasantries and all this, because for me, okay, this is obviously the, like I said, oldest profession. There is a demand. There's a market that's huge worldwide. It isn't going anywhere. But name for me a male gigolo Magic Mike strip club that does anything over than like $50,000 a year in revenue. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't exist because women are not paying this exorbitant amount of money to have sex. Like, it just does not
Okay,
happen.
and why, Taylor?
Because
and
we have
why? And
lives and we have
explain
things
why.
to do.
Okay. Oh, things to do. Okay,
I'm
that's
just saying.
not okay because you have things to do. No,
I'm just saying, you name for me.
Well,
I don't care if it's Joe Schmo down the street. I don't care if it's a Saudi prince. I don't care who it is.
Taylor. Okay, so I'm
Yes,
here
Joe.
looking at your pink outfit with your prominent breasts, and
You're like, you're giving it for
attractive,
free, and they're smart enough to charge.
and you're a very I would hardly call this free, but it's very
It's taking a toll on my mental health.
This abuse is not free. This abuse is not free.
Like,
it's not free.
You will get my therapy bills too.
Yeah, exactly. My post-traumatic stress disorder from this episode. So no, because I'm sitting here looking at your breasts. You're a very attractive woman. You're young. How many times do you go out just on your daily activities, grocery store, whatever, coffee, whatever you do, and get hit on per day?
I would say about, if I'm leaving the house, if I had to average 3 to 5 times a day, I would say.
Okay, 3 to 5 times a day.
It's
Okay,
nice.
How many times does your boyfriend get hit on a day? Do you think?
Well, he's got it going on. Not as many. I get what you're getting at. Getting at.
So
that we women have it coming in. We have options. We get it in where you guys have to work.
You could take any one of those 5 guys and have sex with them right there. And you know it's always available to you. So also, when something is always available to you and you know it's always available
we don't want it.
Not as much, right?
You know, Joe,
it's the scarcity theory. Right?
I could see that. But I get it. It's like we have options. We have guys hitting on us, wanting to buy us drinks, wanted to open all this kinds of stuff. And
they don't want to buy you a drink. They want to have sex with you. Let's be honest. They don't.
Everything's
I don't want to buy
I'm just not calling them transactions, Tom.
They don't want.
Wow.
Guys don't want to buy you a drink. Guys want to have sex with you, and the drink is a way that hopefully will facilitate
is the vehicle to the end result. Here we were,
like,
ladies.
Guys want to buy me drinks. Guys want to buy me purses. Guys want to buy me everything.
Wait a sec. They don't want to just have a drink and some nice conversation?
Get to know you?
Wow. I mean, listen, I totally see what you're saying. It's like, right, when you have something all the time, you're sort of like, we get offers all the time. Like I said, whereas you guys kind of are on the conquest and you gotta work for it, right? You guys are the ones at the bar, making all the moves. But here, I mean, ladies, again, tell me if you feel me. This is where it's different. We are getting the invitations, and I get your scarcity and all that. That's true, right? We want what we can have. However, we don't actually act on it. Even if our desire is there equally, like we talked about in the last episode, sexually for men and women, we won't actually act on it. Whereas you guys, you're getting all this tail coming in. You actually would. And that's my point. It's like you actually would follow through and act on it. Whereas we're like, nah, I'm good. Like, again, name for me a woman who's older, who's successful and rich and on business trips and would pay for a guy to come out and accompany her and give her, companionship and maybe sex. It wouldn't happen. Like, we got our own.
I have a name. I don't know what that says. You can't answer your own question.
Is it status? Is it status? Is it like
you can't pose a question? I'm going to answer that question. Yes, I do know women who are very prominent. Some I will not mention their name.
Okay, you'd probably know like 1 or 2.
I know, yeah, but how many more do I need to know? And also,
I'm saying it's so much more.
My roommate in college, freshman year at USC, his name was Paul. I remember this kid, French kid, and he was a male gigolo. And that's what he did. He was 18 too.
You're talking about the outliers. You are talking. Why aren't there male strip clubs? Why aren't there male strip clubs?
Because women, we talked about this in the last show, women are less visual. That's in the biology of men wanting to have sex over and over. Men need to have sex more than women. Men need it. Men have to release. But also, you're jumping. You're saying an older woman. Okay, but at 50 years old, you're past menopause. So your desire may not be as great as it was at 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's a different world, right? It's a different world for those women. So, but I do know many women for companionship who will pay for sex, who will pay for those who are very prominent, famous celebrities, but who you look at it as more of a control thing, right? And that is an important part to this too, because Taylor, like Charlie Sheen said the greatest line of all time, like, you're not paying for the sex, you're paying for them to leave, right? And that's so true, because when you look at like, well, but you look at the married, when the sex is over, but you look at like married men, they need confidentiality. Like, who would married men have sex with if it wasn't for sex workers? I mean, tell me,
But Joe,
who would married men have sex with if it wasn't for sex workers?
Wow. Ladies, we're putting out more than Joe is giving us credit for. And all I'm saying,
you're not married. You're not married with kids.
Neither are you.
For 20 years, neither
are you.
Yeah, for 20 years with the same people. But I know people that are.
Listen, and you are making the exception. You're skirting around the fact with your exceptions here and there. Yes, I'm saying this is the market where men are buying. There's the supply and the demand, where women are the supply, men the demand. You know, you hear, and with the older women thing, I was sort of, I was associating it with like the sugar baby thing, all of that, which again, isn't always sex work. But I'm just saying, OnlyFans, strip clubs, like, we know the real on this situation, and it is what it is. And that could be a whole other conversation for another day. Like, what is it? Is it the need for sex? Like you're saying, is it a sort of status
biological
thing
need
where
for sex?
Men where men like need to have a young, pretty girl on their arm, whereas women are like, we're good, dude. Like, we're doing our own thing over here. It's like what I said to you in that episode once, where men without women absolutely fall apart, especially elderly, right? And women go on to live their lives, and they're like, I miss him, but like, I'm good. Like, you can't function without
Gene Hackman
us,
is not a good example of that. So
yeah, exactly. Talk about outlier. That was the exception to the rule. It did not.
Yeah. So
it definitely didn't work
I just hate to poke a hole right in there, but you're wrong there.
It definitely did not work out. Okay. Well, you actually have been featured in the public eye about this. How could we forget, Joe? You and your infamous hair featured with Gutfeld. What year was that, by the way, when you were talking about your whole debacle where a sex worker tried to sue you? She was on Girls Gone Wild, and she was 18, you think, at the time, but there was like, she was trying to claim she didn't consent and all this, so she was younger.
And then she sued me for $10 million.
And she sued you for $10 million. Okay, first of all, what year was this again?
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. You missed the most significant part of this sex worker, right?
Yeah.
So the sex worker just happens to be client 9 from the Elliot Spitzer Hooker scandal, right? The Elliot Spitzer, who's the governor of New York, at the time, forced to resign over this girl. And we have all the tape at Girls Gone Wild and all the video of her. And then out of everyone, I ended up in a courtroom against this girl. I mean, it was crazy. And she was trying to make up all these like different types of lies to get money, like all women do when they're suing, Girls Gone Wild, or they're suing women tend to lie. I would say 90% of what is out there in these cases is lies. I mean, really.
We're going to do our psychoanalysis about Joe soon.
In my experience, every time an accusation has been made against me or the company, it has turned out to be a lie. So 100% in when I was doing Girls Gone Wild, of the women were liars. And I said that on other episodes, we always publicize that. We play the tape just like Justin Baldoni, and then they would drop the lawsuits. But this one was the Elliot Spitzer sex worker. Go ahead. Make fun of me.
So first of all, I mean, the hair was just like too good to not bring back. But what year was this? Do you remember?
No, like the hair was 2007, 2008. 20 years ago, yeah. Or 18 years ago. Yeah.
2008. So meanwhile, like almost fresh out of high school, Taylor was just about to embark on like knowing what a strip club was. Meanwhile, you were throwing down with this. Okay, first of all, guys, just picture it. The segment where Joe was with Gutfeld's interviewing him on Fox. Okay,
just play it.
It's called Joe versus the Hoe. It is called
Okay.
Joe versus the Hoe. So first of all, imagine if that would ever fly today. But yeah, we'll play a part of it. Here we
Let's
go.
watch.
Ashley Dupree's rates are going way up. The Elliot Spitzer hooker is suing Girls Gone Wild founder and American hero Joe Francis for $10 million. She's demanding Francis give her a cut of the sales of a years-old Dupree video that he's selling. Who's getting screwed here? For one perspective, let's talk to the man at the center of the storm, Joe Francis. He's Red Eye's former jailhouse correspondent. He knows lawsuits like I know leisure suits. So Joe, she's suing you for being filmed for your DVDs. So you must agree with me that that's far worse than turning tricks.
I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, Elliot Spitzer gets to have sex with her for $4,000, and I got to pay $10 million because we shot some naked pictures. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And also, Greg, like, how am I the only out of the entire Spitzer scandal? How is Joe Francis the only person that ends up in a courtroom? I mean, it's just like, I mean, come on, you got so many other players here. Why am I the only guy?
Wow, what a cinematic experience. So I have a really important question for you, Mr.
Okay, hold on. I
Sex
would like
worker.
also, in addition to a raise on my wardrobe, I would like a hairstylist. I want makeup. Like, look at that. I need that. Like,
Oh, so you're saying you want the 2008 glow up?
I think I need a wig.
Yeah, honestly, I think maybe actually we can see eye to eye on that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can see eye to eye on that because let me tell you, like between Joe the Hoe, Chiron, and that hair flowing in the wind, that just really took me to another place.
But the
I'm
clip's
very
pretty
excited
funny
about
because she sues me not for anything related to whatever. She sues me for defamation. She sues me because by outing her, I somehow defamed her character.
Well,
That
here's
was the-
okay, Joe. Okay, I chuckled, I giggled. I loved seeing you and Gutfeld in this time capsule. But I gotta say, for Mr. like for Mr. yeah, in which case you're the old ass doc and I'm Marty McFly. Okay. But okay, for Mr. like correct terminology, they are sex workers, Taylor, and I'm not knocking any of that. I agree with you on that.
No.
I gotta say, the way that you were talking about her in this clip, it was a little derogatory. It was a little frat boy. It was giving like insulting. Even when you were like, she's a hooker. She already made, as if I could make her reputation worse. She already did that. She's a hooker. Or the whole stint with the Magnolia cupcakes. You're like, I'm gonna
That's
give
a
her
late
Magnolia
night.
cream. She's had enough cream though. I think she's had enough of that. It's like, okay.
Okay,
so
did I
you-
say that or did the comedian say that?
You
But I'm
said
on the
it.
Show. Okay, I did. Okay.
Yeah. You said it. Fact check. Cross examine.
20 years ago. All right. We'll have fun
I'm
with
just
that.
saying. Is
Okay.
it? But see, but this is the kind of bro language I'm talking about. So have you had? This
It's not
come to
bro
Jesus
language though,
moment?
but it is.
Not your
but look,
gardener.
But look at every rap video. Look at everything on Instagram. Look at it's basically telling women also that in every music video that prostitutes are okay, that's fine, that strip clubs are okay, that sex work is okay, and it seems to be much more accepted by the Generation Z and the newer generations than it was in the past, and the more conservative people like yourself and the older generation.
So you think?
But
You'd
Taylor,
be
I think it's so important to realize that we're talking in a bubble here, right? We're talking about the United States, right? And we've said this before. The United States represents 4% of the world's population. That's it. The United States is 4% of the world's population. So the other 96% basically of the world, sex work, prostitution, if you're Taylor, is legal or decriminalized, right? And I want to talk about both of those things. So I'm talking countries like Canada, our neighbor to the north. I'm talking about Mexico. I'm talking about Switzerland. I'm talking about Indonesia, if you want a Muslim country. I'm talking about Russia. I'm talking about Germany, France, Italy, all of these places, Spain.
No, we get
Everywhere
We
you
get it.
go,
We are
sex work is not
le-
criminalized.
right,
It's like- and
right.
you go to the United States, and there's like 3 brothels in Nevada that
Funny
nobody
House
will
Ranch. I watched that
ever
documentary.
go to.
Wait,
Yeah,
why
you
did
were at
that?
the
Why
Bunny
did that?
Ranch.
Wait, why did that documentary like turn me on though?
Which one? The one on HBO?
Man, I
Because you-
rewatched parts of it recently, and I was like, That actually was straight up porn for HBO. But anyway,
I have a friend that actually had sex with that girl, Air Force Amy. I swear to God.
girl.
I swear to God, I will say his name is John, and that's a real name. It's not like
John
he's a
Smith.
John. His
Smith,
name is John, and he was so proud of it. And I'm like, really? There was, remember that girl, Air Force Amy from the show?
I mean, I don't remember. I didn't watch it as closely as you did, I guess.
I mean, her body count is like Elon Musk's net worth. Like you're going 500 billion, like probably, right? And this guy was like so enthusiastic and excited. I've never seen a happier man. And I'm just like, oh my God, really?
She gave the people what they wanted, but
I didn't want the details.
Listen, Joe, what you're getting at is, just like we don't want the details of your stats sometimes is when you look at
because you're a woman. That's why.
No, because we just get to what actually matters. Because you guys get off like, I know more stats numbers.
No, you're just not good at math.
So, anyways. You were talking about, yes,
because stats
for America, that is,
women lie. Stats don't lie. Go ahead.
Oh, please. You can associate a stat to absolutely anything. It's so arbitrary. But anyways.
Oh, arbitrary.
Anyways.
Okay. Just like magic numbers, huh? Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, yeah, I was thinking about that. So yes, when you look at the world stage, we have such a warped view because for the U.S., that is such a powerhouse, democracy, Western civilization, land of the free, home of the brave, we are backwards in this regard. So we do have a skewed view of it. And look, the legality debate, we see it all the time. So we're not bringing anything revolutionary here. I feel like this is a part where you and I, Joe, do see eye to eye in that it's pretty much common sense.
So you believe, hold on, I want to make sure, because I didn't know this. You believe that sex work should be legal? Should be legal. Okay, good. Me too.
Absolutely. Because it's like anything, it's why I'm such a free speech advocate. Anything in the shadows is never going to be good. Like, I want to see, as deranged as it is, I want to see Kanye out here with his swastika, for example, because I don't want this undercover in bunkers, black web stuff going down, and then it wreaks havoc. Like, I air it out. I want to see it. I want to know. Same kind of thing.
So I don't want to see Kanye with a swastika. I want to immediately clarify that right now.
I'm not saying I enjoy it. I'm saying
swastikas,
I want to know it's out there. Same thing with this.
Tell you, but what I do want to say is, like to your point, yes, it should be absolutely legal, and like it should be legal in the United States, and I'll tell you why. And it's for the benefit of these women. And I have spoken with sex workers, and some of them have not like a million stories, but one story where they were particularly in danger, or something happened, or someone pulled a knife, or something traumatic happened. Now, if you were in France, if you were in Germany, if you were in Switzerland, if you were in the UK, you could call the police, or Canada, you could call the police and say,
protected.
You'd be protected. The woman would be protected for her job. And it is just inexcusable for the United States government not to legalize a profession that is an upwards of $20-30 billion in the United States. And who knows, it could be far greater than that. That could protect, hold on, because I'm going to finish, that could protect these workers and tax them too, because, Spain makes a fortune and all these other countries make a fortune taxing and providing health benefits. Also, the Johns, or the people who are hiring the sex workers, they don't have the same problems with violence against women because it's legal. And they know that if they do anything, they're going to go to jail. They know that the women have protection from the government. And that's a really important thing, Taylor, because sex work is not going to go away. It's not. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's in the United States, and, like all the politicians are constantly, getting caught for sex, work, and it's not going to stop. So a decision has to be made to where it is decriminalized, number one, because that's always the first step. That was the first step with marijuana, and that's always the first step, is decriminalization, and then legalization, because then there's taxation. There's taxation, there's health control, And then there's control, because these women are protected. They're protected against violence. They're protected against situations where they could be assaulted or something bad could happen to them. That's my opinion. How do you feel about that?
Joe feels very passionately about this.
I do.
I think, no, like I said, I think it's common sense. I think the more that it's out there and regulated, that, you know, it'll be safer for them, and they can also get healthcare benefits and all kinds of things. Yes, and they can be safer.
Social Security.
Yeah, I mean, I have grappled, right, and people will know that if stuff goes down, you will be reprimanded and punished, you know, on the client's end. But I will say, I have also thought, if you open the floodgates in the Wild West, does that offer more of a ripe, you know, breeding ground for trouble and all this? But I think obviously the former, and legalizing it is safer. And then there's the whole debate too. We won't get too much into this, but, you know, I've said that women can sell their bodies and have the autonomy and make a living off of that, and make a good living off of it if it is their choice. And there's a whole other debate too, just to kind of like get this out of the way before we get more into the social, you know, and gender differences and attitudes, is the mental toll it takes on women. And this is, you know, something else I've grappled with. Like, we've heard many times that at first for young women, it can be really liberating and empowering. And then maybe as time goes on, they have more mental repercussions. Like, they have detachment, it kind of catches up with them. But then I thought about it and I'm like, you know, this could go for a multitude of professions that are really stressful or taxing or whatever it is. So I think it gets a bad rap in that way, and we associate it. Not to say that bad things don't happen and people, you know, do suffer repercussions, but, you know, that's all just kind of stuff to think about, I think.
Yeah, but women, you have an attitude towards the subject. All women, I believe, do. And you have a very, very firm belief that you do not like this. And I know that, and I feel it, and you're not alone. And I think all women feel threatened by sex workers, because they think in their mind that the sex worker is going to take their man, or it's some type of, or their boyfriend, like their boyfriend or their husband. When in fact, I think it's just the opposite. Honestly, I think it's healthier for the relationship, right? And the sex worker is a businesswoman or man, has no interest in an emotional relationship with the John or the person, right? So it's a strictly transactional relationship. So that's what I know. This is where we're going to disagree, and let's go.
Hold my earrings. Let's go.
Guys, are you ready for a 24-hour show? Because it's going to be our first 24-hour show of Undress. We're ready to go.
We're going UFC in this beat. Okay.
Now.
Okay. Joe, listen and learn.
Agree with me, right? Are you never going to agree with me? Ever? Are you going to ever agree with me?
I'm never going to say never. But let me explain to you the female psyche. If you want to hear it, I don't want to twist your arm now. I'm just trying to help you.
Did I do a good job of defining the female psyche? But I want to know But did I do a good job of defining it?
You hit it when you said there is something threatening about coming for our man. Like, I will straight cut you. But let me tell you a little bit about where I'm at in my evolution. And I feel like a lot of women will resonate with this. And it's even why I had a little chip on my shoulder, and you picked up on this, Joe, rightfully, I will say, when I was like, oh, Joe, you're passionate about this, right? Because for us women, that translates to like, oh, you want this? Oh, is that why you're dying on this hill? And here's why. I'm somebody, like I said, in my young, this is coming from me, and this is why I'm setting this stage. Okay. When I was younger, I was that girl, like young, wild, and free, college years, the whole thing, right? But most girls on their 20th birthday, they're like, let's go drink pina coladas and go to a frat house. I dragged my friends' asses to the strip club in like some rapist van in the middle of Pennsylvania, with the strippers there had like one tooth, okay? And they're like, only Ferber would drag us to the strip club. I may have even gotten on stage for 5 minutes and had a lot of fun, right?
Oh.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm no prude.
So you've done sex work.
I am no prude.
Okay, I just want to clarify that Taylor Ferber has done sex work.
Technically, but I didn't get naked. I just got on the stage, and then the stripper was probably like, "Okay, you overstayed your welcome."
Something happened in that experience where you didn't get the proper price. No one put up dollars. No one put up a 20. Yeah, what happened? Like what happened that traumatized you so much that you hate the subject so much? Something happened to you.
Here's the tea. And I don't know if it is just being older and all of these societal kind of beliefs being integrated in my own mind, right? So, but again, it's like you're young, you have no expectations, you're free, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is coming from me now.
You said 20 years old, right?
I was 20, yes.
And you were drinking alcohol, so you were committing a crime because you were underage drinking. Okay. I just want to clarify that that's also a crime.
Nobody here
in addition to sex work is a crime. So I just want to say that you committed a crime, and with all your friends that night, you were committing a crime. Just as sex work is a crime. So I just want to say, because it's really interesting to note.
You're saying, you were able to do that, but not sex work. Right? I get it.
No, go ahead, say it. You say.
I think what you're really saying is I'm a bad girl, and I'm not going to refute that. No, I get it. I get the point that you're making.
No, but how are you able to commit
I was the birthday girl. She brought me on stage and I was like, woohoo. And then she was probably like, okay, lady, you probably overstayed your welcome, whatever. But cut to now, as I am older and in a relationship, and now I will admit, like many women, I'm contradictory. The thing is, some things that I do in my own personal life and the way I live and think contradict this very thing. And again, it is fine. I will own it. It is the way women are. The math doesn't have to math, but the math does math for us in that, right? But it feels like it is coming after something that is so primal in us women. Okay, because guys like yourself will always say it means nothing. There's no emotion. It's just a transaction.
So what is it?
Sex.
So what is it?
It is our sexuality. I said this in our last episode, is so primal to who we are. I would almost honestly prefer like a quote unquote emotional cheating girl, because I'd be like, oh, whatever. She doesn't have shiz, right? Whereas going like actively seeking out a hot sex strip, whatever it is, I'm like, oh, now it's going down, because it's going after the very primal thing that makes us feminine and women. I'll put it this way, Joe.
Jealousy.
It would be okay, like for you. It would be like for you what makes you so integral to your masculinity. If a woman came to you and was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with somebody who's like so much richer and more powerful and successful. You'd be like, well, I took that in the nuts. Like, that's how it feels for us. It's like going after the jugular.
I would be like, good luck finding that.
So you think.
Yeah, your options are limited.
So you think.
I would break it down for her.
Does that I've been places, Joe. I've seen it. No, but does that make sense to you? It feels like it's going after something so primal.
You know what? Women will never ever make sense to any of us, and that is just something I've accepted.
Maybe.
I think, look, honestly, where I think it comes from, and look, let me just go back to the drinking thing, because how is this the only crime that if you pay for it, it's a crime, but I can go to a bar, buy you a drink, or not even buy you a drink, just take you home, have sex with you for 20 minutes, or anybody, or 30 minutes or an hour, 2 hours if we're really, going for it. And that's free, and that's not a crime. But if I were to pay you at the end of that experience, even though you probably wanted to, that's a crime. How is that? How is that fair?
I'm not saying it's fair. I think it's kind of what we talked about, the underbelly of our really puritanical values. And yeah, it actually doesn't help anybody, because the truth is, like you said, yes, we will agree, this isn't going anywhere. And so it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the women involved who choose to do this and choose it from a place of, consent and all knowing. Is not all knowing. So, power and all this, right? Because they choose to do it, but it doesn't really help anybody. So, I can't explain why. That is math. That's not mathing.
All right. Then if you can't explain why, then let's go back to the women. Because I want to try to understand. I don't think we're ever going to get to understand, but I want to know, Because what I think it is you guys are jealous and think that girl is it's just a jealousy thing that girl is taking your guy, and it's like, I've made jokes in the past when I was with my ex, in front of other people, just to see their reactions and just be like, oh, she doesn't care about sex workers. She goes, because, it's less work for her, and laughed about it. Like, they didn't know whether we're serious or not, but we both laugh about it. Right. But just to see their reaction, because people's reactions vary, and some of them are very strong. Like, women are very strong in the United States towards sex work. Now, if you ask any European, and I think this is a great time to talk about Japan.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Okay. Our audience needs to see this clip right now, and we're going to talk about attitudes.
It's
because
the crux
in
of
different
what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, in different places. Because if we look at this clip, you're going to see, okay, what women think in Japan about sex work.
What women? AKA one woman was interviewed on the street, and Joe is like, this is what all women in Japan. But yes, and it gets to your jealousy thing. So let's roll the tape.
Oh my God. Thanks, Taylor.
まあ、行ったら報告してくれれば
OK なんですか？
はい、何で行ったのかなと思って、いるパートナーがいるにも行ったのはその何か違うこと、いわゆるこうスタイルのいい足を触りたかったとか、多分そのフェチがあるところで、
それを言ってくれたら OK なんですか？
まあしょうがないですよね。持ち合わせてないものだったら致し方ないかなと。
Okay, women watching this may fall into the camp of this Japanese woman. They may disagree with me and think it's just sex. Who cares? I'm not threatened by it, whatever it is. If you want to chalk it up to jealousy or whatever it is, this, that, the other thing, that's fine. That's what men do. Like, oh, women are jealous. You
but
and
listen
I
to what
both
she
know
said. Okay, are you listening to
there-
what that woman said? Are you
Yes,
listening
she
to what she
says,
said?
oh, maybe he wants long legs. I don't have like sexy long legs. Okay, I'm not threatened. I'm not,
But
it's fine.
yeah,
Like,
and she doesn't care because she knows that there's no emotional connection. And
yes,
I
but
think
we women
that's
don't think like that.
okay. Then tell me how women think.
Except
I want
for
to
her.
know. I
Except
want to
for her.
know. How do women think?
It's what I was just saying. We would literally almost rather any kind of like side emotional connection, whatever, because we're like, that won't be us. The sex, like, it's like what I said, it hits at the jugular. It hits at our most like primal power spot. And it's like emotional. Who cares? I don't care. No one can converse with my man like I can. I don't care about Betty from down the block. Like, it's not the same thing. It's
You
just
care
in my,
more
to
about a
me,
sex. Okay, hold on. I
yes.
just want to slow down here. Okay.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
unpacking Taylor.
And-
okay,
and I wanna-
unpacking women.
And I want to
Okay.
throw it to the audience too. Would you
Unpacking
guys,
women in less
would
than
you-
24 hours. Hold
Well,
on.
yeah,
Let me
good
ask
luck
a
with that.
question.
But I want to ask the audience too. Would you guys rather have your partner just cheat for free or actually pay for it?
Okay,
I mean,
hold
these
on.
are all some
You
things to
called
think
it
about.
cheating. We haven't even got there yet. Okay. You called
gotta
it
wrap
cheating
soon. We gotta
already.
wrap soon.
Okay. So you think it's cheating.
We got to
Okay.
wrap actually a minute ago.
Okay. So you think it's cheating.
No, I don't think. I actually don't think it's cheating. If you have transparency with your partner, no, I don't think it's cheating.
No. Okay. And
If you have transparency with your partner, if you're in on it together as a team, have the experience together in some way, even if it's like you converse or verbal. No, I don't think that's cheating.
I agree with you. Now,
Hallelujah.
you would feel the one thing on this show. I mean, from minute one, I knew we weren't going to agree on anything, but okay,
Men
at least
would
we
just see
agreed
it
on one thing.
differently.
Now, what I want to know is what for you, like, you would rather have your boyfriend have sex with a sex worker or Betty down the street?
Probably Betty down the street.
Okay, why?
Because it's like the sex worker, that is what they do. And it's almost like more overt and in your face. They're most likely going to be hot. They're going to know what they're doing. And again, I don't know how else to say it. It goes right to the like pain point. It goes right to strikes that chord of
Really?
like, oh, so you were seeking this like hot, the whole thing. They know how to put they know how to move the whatever. They're doing this on the reg. They're pros at it. Whereas like Betty can get lost. I don't care about Betty's dust. And you guys would say this stripper's dust. I don't even know her name. It's just the way that we equate it in our heads. And again, women could disagree
Really
with me and
interesting.
go, Taylor, it's just physical. It's just sex. Who cares? I would venture to say that most women are in my court about this and have the same thoughts about
Okay,
it.
I look, you're the authority. Okay, definitely. I do not have a vagina, nor do I have breasts. So you're the authority on that. Okay, so I will. So we will say that is a thing. Now, I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Now, Betty down the street is
Poor
going
Betty.
to give her,
Betty didn't ask for this. Betty's getting dragged into this. Betty's getting dragged into this. Sorry, Betty.
Yeah, sorry, Betty.
You asked for it though, Betty.
Let's call her. Okay, let's call her Lisa. Lisa down the street. Lisa down the street is getting banged by your boyfriend. Okay, now the problem with Lisa is she has an emotional connection, right? Maybe to your boyfriend, or your boyfriend might have an emotional connection to her. They might exchange phone numbers and information, and there might be follow-up contact and follow-up rendezvous, right? Versus the sex worker. Here's what I just want to understand. The sex worker, like the Japanese woman said, the sex worker just, it doesn't matter because she's out of the life. It's just her job and that's it. And she doesn't care because there's no emotional connection. But you're telling me, and all of us men completely, it's the opposite.
I think for the most part, yes. And I hate to believe me, ladies, it pains me to do this, but this is like boiling it down to the deepest fundamental, I don't even want to say tropes, but biologically, what is primal and what we offer with women. It is a lot. I hate to say this out loud. And actually, this could be argued of marriage as well and everything just being a transaction. But that's why I say it's so fundamental and integral and primal, right? Is our femininity and our sexuality and our beauty and our power in that. And procreating and nurturing, right? Whereas men, we talk about this a lot, is, providing and being the, supporter and protector and all this. So if it were to be flipped, that's why it's not that crazy in my head and why you skirted this, okay, harder than Trump.
I didn't skirt anything.
If it were reversed.
What are you saying I skirted? Hold on. What are you saying I skirted? Before you accuse me of skirting,
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
If it came after your core, because you made a joke about it, like, oh, you can't find that. But for you as a man, what makes men feel masculine is being strong, being a provider, even if it's financial, if it's success, all that. So if we go after that, that's what's going to hit you versus, for you, the physicality isn't as important. So that's why in your guys' brains, you're like, who cares? It's just
okay. I completely now understand where you're coming from but that's also a chemical that makes you masculine because women are bonded more from sexual experience.
That too. Yeah. That so it means more to us than you guys. Yeah. It means more to us than you guys than just you guys.
Well, because men are essentially penetrating you. So you're going inside. You're letting someone inside you. So it's a different thing and different chemicals are released and there's more of a bond. And that whole bond happens biologically because you found a mate and you want to have a baby and the whole process plays out in your head, which is great for biology, terrible for sex work. Great for biology.
Kind of what he said. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I do not think marriage is sex work. I do not agree with that one, and I don't think either one of us really.
I do not agree with that.
Yeah, I do not agree with that one. But there is an economy, but that's a whole nother show.
I know. For me, what's most powerful? I want an equal. Like we're both bringing in the bacon. We're both hot in bed, like all the things. Okay, I'm not about that Betty Crocker shit. But anyways, that's for another day.
Didn't she die in Me Too, Betty Crocker? Isn't she gone?
She died and cancel culture killed her. Cancel culture killed her. Yep.
No.
I know. So, all right, Joe.
And I didn't even get to bang her. But all right.
Listen, wow. Case in point, ladies. Let's just end it all there. Let's just end. And you know what? I didn't get to bang Henry Ford, but am I upset about it? No. I'm going to go on and live my life and go on with my day. So you know what? I have unanswered. You cry about how you can't understand women's brains and how the math doesn't math.
Crying. It's a great way to look at it.
I have unanswered questions too. Like this is just literally Inception, i.e. like in your Gutfeld cameo, how you have no problem. You have no problem being like, oh,
I was on that show 23 times that year.
I'm just saying.
Cameo in this show.
Okay, I'm just saying the evolution and the arc of then being like, oh, she's got enough cream. I think she's got that. Oh, okay, I don't need, she doesn't need me to mess up her reputation. To now, Mr. all-knowing civil rights activist Joe Francis. So that's an unanswered question I have.
Okay,
what happened there?
All right. If that's a hanging question, then let's fix it. Okay. Number one, there's this thing, Taylor, and I know cancel culture got rid of it, but it was so great. And we're going to go back to the old days, and it was called comedy. And that's when people said things, and they maybe have not been true, but they were really funny to say on television at the time. And everybody laughed, like you noticed on the show. And through that comedy, I'm able to be an entertainer like I have on television for 30 years. And that was what I was doing, is being funny. My views have not changed, because I will go back, and we have to wrap this up, because we're never going to agree on certain things, but we have to wrap this up. And
I agree with you, by the way, before you wrap up with the comedy thing. I'm just saying, is there a part of it that will innately always underneath be that sort of internalized attitude or stigma of like, haha, these girls, as much as you're Mr. Rogers about it now for everybody, I'm saying, I don't know. It's just something to leave
Rogers.
Something like the Mr. Rogers of pimps over here. I'm just saying, it's like,
I'm not. I don't agree. There shouldn't be pimps. And that's the law in most of these countries. There aren't allowed to be intermediaries, because that's where there's problems. The intermediary should be a normal job. I mean, there should be no intermediaries, and they don't need it with the internet and with the
OnlyFans and all that. Yeah, they're
with all of the
power. Yeah,
the internet.
Yeah,
they can go direct. They don't need any middleman, and that doesn't have to. That doesn't have to exist anymore, and that's illegal in most places. I agree,
actually, and I like the idea of women doing it on their own terms. All of the OnlyFans. I'm just saying, is that just sort of the nature of it? Of the attitudes of like, it's just, that's the nature, and that's the type of thing. As much as pro and for and as you are and all that, I'm just saying across the board, maybe that's a little bit of the nature of it, which just says something about this whole entire thing, right? Which how we have our own internalized stuff about it. But to wrap this up, Joe, do we just accept that this is never going away and that men and women will never see eye to eye on this issue?
Okay, 2 questions. 100%, sex work is never going away. And every other civilized culture and some uncivilized in the entire world, the other 96% of the world outside of the United States, has realized that and either made steps to decriminalize it, pass laws to legalize it, and protect these women and protect them through the law. Also, they're smart. They collect taxes. The women get Social Security benefits. Their kids can go to public school. They're not scrutinized. They're not shamed. So that will always be there. Now, to answer your other question, once the laws change, then the attitudes change. And then once it's legalized, then you have acceptance. And yes, I believe if we can get there, from this puritanical society, these Puritan separatists from the Church of England that founded and created the United States, and these crazy morals that really aren't, morals, because they're constantly challenged and defied by our culture every single day, constantly. We will get to this acceptance that you're talking about. And yes, the attitudes will change, but I mean, you're telling me they won't. So I can see on your face.
No,
I can see on your face.
You guys didn't just see me, but I was literally just giving him resting bee face. I'm trying not to cuss. I was literally like this, just staring at him dead eyes. No, listen.
You were staring me down.
I was staring. I was giving him the New England RBF. I was. You guys didn't get that experience. But I actually am, in theory, behind what you're saying. I do agree. I think you know this. I think transparency is key. I think the more it's out in the open with all of these issues, it's just better, safer, more productive, healthier all around. And I'll just leave my ladies out there with this, because we know these dudes, they'll do anything for the pee, as we've seen. So I would just say, ladies, be the stripper of your man's life, okay? And if he should, which by the way, you live your life too, but if he should choose to partake in the stripper, this, that, the other thing, be part of it. Be part of it. Like, transparency is key. And to Joe's point, that will,
if they're cool with it, don't be a part of it if you're not comfortable.
No, that's what I said. Transparency is key.
Yeah. all of it. Yeah. Transparency and comfort. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
guys,
Exactly. Be a
don't force
team.
a girl
Be a
into
team.
it. If that's what they want, that's what they want. Everyone's
Yeah.
different. Like, that's the thing that we always come back to on the show. And I feel like it's really the thread that every single person is different. Every single person's relationship is different. Every single person's attitude is different.
We tackle this on the show a lot. I think like all of these issues, and oddly enough, it's like relationships.
I don't think they're allowed to have bank accounts in the United States. That's the problem.
That's why they're hanging out with you down there on your compound in Mexico. Yeah. We know about it. But anyways, look, I think a lot of these issues, it's kind of like the microcosm of men and women and a relationship. They're messy and it's not super clean. But I think obviously like talking about it more and being honest about it, and yes, being liberated and comfortable and all that, it will just, make the world go around and rock your bedrooms too, hopefully. And just to be open-minded, because the truth is we have been indoctrinated with a lot. I can admit I'm breaking through it myself with a lot of these judgments and values and stigmas in our head. And so, I agree with you, Joe. It shouldn't be obviously forced, but the more that you guys can do together, look, cheating is small dick energy, and I'll leave it at that. Cheating is small dick energy. So be open about it. I'm talking about like all of these things, partaking in the sandbox playground of it, but doing it in an open way that makes you guys both feel empowered and stronger as a unit if you're in a relationship.
If you're both uncomfortable, if one of you is uncomfortable, don't do it and don't partake into it, and don't force the other person into that world, because it's not going to be pretty at the end of the day, right? Honesty is key, right? For any relationship. Correct?
I agree.
Transparency, you said.
Yep, from your self-appointed sex therapist, Taylor and Joe.
Well, Dr. Ruth died, so I got
someone had to say exactly. Well, Joe, I'm sure we will continue this conversation.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. So Taylor had her pick of shows today, and she did Prostitution. This was
my choice. I'd ask how much that you'd pay for a night with me, but like I said, you can't afford it.
No, so I'm going to ask that question. Wait, you can't cut the show off now. What do you think, hypothetically, let's say, because in a million years, this is never going to happen. But let's say you had to do a post, and I know you've been on the internet.
I thought about this. I thought about it.
Okay.
I was like, are these women genius?
So what would you charge, for 2 hours or the night? Or is it just a weekend date? This is
hypothetical, because
of course it's hypothetical.
I don't think I'm not mentally built for it. I don't have the strength.
But Taylor, and that's the thing. But I just want to clarify. You are or you're not. Like, sex workers like what they do. They're mentally built for it. And they enjoy the sex and the lifestyle, or they wouldn't do it. Like,
let's say this.
Okay.
Let's say this. Okay, because we are getting paid. This just in, there are strippers waiting at Joe's door. He's got to go. We got to go, guys. But I'm going to say between 100 and like 500K. Let's go in that range. And that's a little treat for you all.
And I just one follow-up question to that. And do you accept American Express?
Yes. I do not discriminate when it comes to the cash coming in.
All right. Well, then let's end the show now. I'll call you on. Hit you up on Venmo.
Thank you guys for joining us on this journey. As always, on Undressed. Be sure to share, subscribe. I mean, why wouldn't you? Who wouldn't want to be?
Guys, share, subscribe, like, and enjoy more of Undressed.
What he said.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you next week.